there, everyone. This is Riku Keyblade Master back once again with the review for Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. Now, a brief history before we grab our canes and our copies of the Thievius Raccoonus and get started. This game came out, I want to say about a year after Sly 2, and then in 2010 for the Sly collection developed by Zanzaro. Now, let's get started. Everyone got their canes and their copies of the Thievius Raccoonus? Good, because you're going to need them. Now, my first time playing was actually a very interesting experience. You start off the prologue pretty much at the end of the game, which is where I think the presentation was kind of a hit or miss, really, because you start off trying to break into the Cooper Vault, which I was already thinking, oh my god, did I already beat the game? Did I just buy this thing for just one level? Well, apparently not, but that's what it felt like at first. But when you rewind, you start back at the beginning, which we introduced to a new training mechanic called the Hazard Room. Bentley trains us on all of our different techniques and skills. But this time, we don't have all three anymore. Murray, when Bentley was injured during the whole Clockwork affair, Murray blamed himself and eventually led to leaving the team. We tried to console him, but going out on his own was something he needed to do. But we just have access to Sly and Bentley right now. And Bentley has a new and improved wheelchair, which makes him more advanced out in the field. But I'll get to that in a little bit. What I'd like to address now is the Hazard Room. The Hazard Room has the ability to train all three of us on our various techniques. So Sly gets some training, Bentley gets some training, and Murray will eventually get some training when you finally play as him. But play as him and have him on your team, that is. But in the beginning, we start with a chapter known as the Opera of Fear. But before I go in, let's talk about the main thing here. I'm gonna go off by saying that there are a lot of antagonists in this game, but there is one main antagonist known as Dr. M, who is later revealed he was one of Sly's dad's members of his gang. He was one of Connor Cooper's gang members. Now, here's the thing. We get introduced to Dr. M at the start of the chapter, what he looks like and everything, and some of his backstory and everything else. But then, we jump into the Hazard Room, Sly gains some training, then we go off to an Opera of Fear, which the local mob boss, his name is Octavio. A little bit of background on him. Growing up, this guy used to be a real celebrity in the neighborhood. Everyone loved to hear him sing opera, and said that he was destined to be the next great tenor. But just as his career started to take off, musical tastes changed. Suddenly, it was all about rock music, and no one wanted to listen to opera anymore. He held on to a few fans, and it was these mobsters that took him into the business. Heading on to this guy's turf was dangerous. but worth it for a chance to make things right with Murray, because latest reports had cited Murray in beautiful Venice, Italy, which is also where Octavio is. Now, we are introduced to a lot of Bentley's new mechanics, as well as 3D mode, which isn't very good. We're not talking about, the 3D we've got now. We're talking about standard red and blue glasses 3D. Now, I have a pair of 3D glasses that I got from the theaters, basically, that are black and plastic and stay on your face better. So I'm pretty sure I might be able to use the 3D functions just fine, but I've seen people use the 3D functions, and it's actually in between scary and not that great. But anyway, our goal was to get Murray back in the first chapter. We did, and the second chapter, which is Rumble Down Under, is where Murray's little teacher is, aka the Guru. And we end up going there and handling quite a few things, including a really funny Lemon Rage mission, and a really cool way to handle some guards, i.e. feeding them to a giant crocodile. But I guess that's what it means to be a hungry croc. But anyway, enough puns here. So then we get the Guru on the team, and that's the thing. And the villain for the second chapter is rather underwhelming. Everyone makes sense except for the villain in the second chapter, which is a mask. The Mask of Dark Earth. I mean, it was fine to make the miners the villains, but having them foolishly unearth the Mask of Dark Earth that doesn't really do anything, looks less threatening, and has to attach itself to someone else in order to be a threat. Seriously, I cannot take anybody seriously wearing that ugly mask. I mean, seriously, I'm not even kidding. I can't take anybody seriously here. But then the next villain after we defeat the Mask of Dark Earth, which is really weird how we end up defeating it. It turns out that bullets from a gun is the thing to kill it. Are you kidding me? Everything that could essentially have killed the mask didn't kill it, but bullets from a gun is the thing to kill it? Are you fucking shitting me? You have got to be kidding me right now. Like, oh. Mask of Dark Earth, worst villain in Sly Cooper history. Now let's move on to the next chapter. After recruiting the Guru, and that's the thing, in this game, we don't have a villain-specific group like we had in the first one. We had the Thieves 5, second one we had the Claw Gang, and then this one, everybody's just all over the place. Which, wow. Oh, and another mechanic I forgot to mention is us being able to use disguises and key codes, i.e. passwords that we trigger with the face buttons, X, circle, square, triangle, that sort of thing. And then, eventually, as we go through the game, that's another thing. Eventually the hazard room will open up more and more and more challenges for us to complete. And this time, they kept the slideshow presentations on the main operations, which is really, really great. I like that they kept it. But, in any case, the next chapter of the game is, I believe, a flight of fancy? Yeah. Yeah. A flight of fancy, which we get to see a familiar face. We get to see Dimitri again. Which, yay, but this time he's not a bad guy. Thank goodness. We have a mole on the inside. We are able to get access to the flight roster from him. The Black Baron is one strict villain. I'm telling you, he is one strict and very strategic villain. He just won't let up. He has arranged an Aces flight competition, which leads me to going back a little bit beforehand. Sly steals the pilot license. Bentley and Murray work to put a plane together, and after weeks of searching something called techie chat rooms, Bentley finally found someone who could keep up with him intellectually. A gearhead genius out of Holland named Penelope. She politely declines our invitation to join the team, saying she only works for the best. Apparently, her idea of the best was her boss, the Black Baron, a big-time dogfighting champ up there in Holland. He's so good that he's even set up an international competition called Aces to attract worthy opponents. A few weeks later, or days later, she sent us a counteroffer. If our gang could manage to beat the Black Baron at his own game, then she'd know we weren't really just a pack of jokers, and therefore worth her time. And again leads us to building the plane and Sly stealing the pilot license. But going through, knowing who we're flying against, we end up sabotaging the two teams, so they don't end up gunning for us. Instead, they end up gunning for each other. We get to control an airplane, which can be a bit hard at times, but a bit fun from your perspective and point of view. But, and here's another way to do a plot twist, Sunzaru. This is another good way to do a plot twist. Apparently, we discover that after beating the Black Baron... Wait, you? You're Penelope, the Baron's mechanic. No, you are the Black Baron. Suppose someone was bound to find out sooner or later. Guess I'm kind of relieved. But why? Look, let's talk on the ground where it's safe. And wow, that is literally a very interesting plot twist. Penelope explains that the disguise was invented to get her past the dogfighting league's strict age requirements. However, after winning so many competitions, the Baron became a celebrity, and she found herself putting on the costume more and more often. But now, with the Black Baron out of the picture, she was free to take up a new path, and she joined the gang without hesitation. Excuse me, I can't speak. But anyway, but Bentley is a little upset at the fact that, seriously, he catfished too, creating a false identity on the internet, and Penelope did the same thing. They didn't want to reveal who they really were, so what they do, create false identities. And Penelope ended up falling for Sly, and, Bentley just gets a little jealous. Then, afterwards, we get treated to another chapter called Dead Men Tell No Tales. Which is funny because that's the title of the newest Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Which is really ironic. Because considering it's a pirate level, get it? Anyway, Dead Men Tell No Tales is one of my favorite chapters because We get to engage in insult competitions, but we have to be really careful not to repeat anything that's already been said. Otherwise, we would automatically lose the competition and have to redo it all over again. However, spawns one of my favorite missions also, which is Dynamic Duo. Bentley and Penelope work together to break into the Thieves' Keep and steal the Dagger Island treasure map. However, before Bentley leaves to get Penelope's spanners, he says to Penelope, "I've got your spanners and I'm on my way back." Penelope goes, "Great, but I think I've already got it. This is it, the Dagger Island treasure map. Oh, my eyes! I can't see some kind of blinding dust." And basically, yeah, Penelope gets blinded. Bentley's job is to guide Penelope and keep threats away from her. So he takes a turret off of her RC car and adds it to his newest piece of technology, the grapple cam. This little gadget comes in quite handy. It's a grappling hook and a camera all at the same time. Well, this time, it's a grappling hook, a turret, and a camera. And Bentley's job is to guide Penelope back to the safe house, making bird calls through the grapple cam speaker. The guards won't think anything of it, and she'll be able to follow Bentley's voice back to the safe house. But we have to be careful not to get too far away, or she won't hear us. And another mission I really like is the one where you have to use the RC car to retrieve. You have to use Penelope's RC car to retrieve the disc pieces after one of the pirate golden retrievers shoots it down. And the pieces are still intact. The disc is shattered, but they can still retrieve the Thieves' data. They are basically trying to retrieve data on the fleet and everything. And that's definitely another part that I really liked. And the reason that I sympathize with Bentley is because I know what it's like to be blind, because I was completely blind for the first 2 months, and then I little by little started developing vision, and here I am, I'm 23 and I'm still partially blind, which really sucks. But I make up for it with a vast computer chip memory and excellent hearing, and the rest of my senses are highly heightened. When you lose one sense, the rest of your senses get heightened. But then, after defeating Penelope ends up getting kidnapped in the job known as X Marks the Spot. Then we have to defeat Lefley and get her back. However, the guru ends up possessing a giant squid known as Crusher. We don't know why the pirates are scared of Crusher, but we were able to use that to our advantage. Bentley focuses on freeing Penelope, and the guru and Crusher have to focus on smashing the guards with the tentacles so they don't disrupt Bentley's attempts to free Penelope. Which is really hard. It's easy when it first starts off, but it's hard when it picks up and there are more than 1 or 2 guards on the screen. Sometimes there are like 5 guards at a time, and it's really annoying. But then any case, we end up getting Penelope out. And then Lafleur ends up going for Bentley, and she says, "Nobody touches that turtle, but me. Oh, I do like smart guys, and he beat you at your own game. You tell me who's more intelligent." But then we end up defeating Lafleur, and Lafleur basically ends up dying. He ends up shark food. And then after that, we end up going into the Honor Among Thieves chapter, which is the last chapter, and it's funny that it's named Honor Among Thieves because that's the title of the game. So we end up with going back to the start all over again, which is a definite deal. You know, and for the first time in memory, Carmelita didn't show up and cart everyone to jail. But we end up recruiting, Dimitri as our frogman for the Cooper Vault job. We also end up not only saving Penelope, but we end up recovering Dimitri's grandfather, Remy Lousteau's diving gear and the rest of his treasure. Then, not only did Bentley rescue a team member, he'd won himself a girlfriend. That's right. He'd won himself a girlfriend. Penelope and Bentley were finally a couple. It was nice to hear them talk. They'd have these conversations that the rest of the gang couldn't even follow. As far as I could tell, they were made for each other. But then they end up going into Honor Among Thieves, which is the last chapter of the game, like I said before. And they end up basically ends up crossing the Cooper Vault while Bentley and Murray take out Dr. M and some of his goons, like a lot of his goons. And then Dr. M's not down. Dr. M is essentially the final boss of Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. Sly beats him, but then ends up getting blasted in a last-ditch effort to save Carmelita, but ends up faking amnesia. Yep. He gets amnesia, and then Carmelita takes out Dr. M for the final time, and that's another thing. Carmelita is playable in some missions, such as taking out Dr. M, and in the beginning in Opera Among Fear, we get to play as her in Turf War. But we beat Dr. M, and Carmelita says to Sly, "Well, you're my partner, Constable Cooper. Can you remember anything?" And Sly goes, "No. Who are you? You look familiar." And basically, that's pretty much the end. The credits roll, and afterwards, a little Binocucom thing appears, Bentley's little Binocucom, and he ends up zooming in on Sly and Carmelita. Sly does a little, and Bentley goes, "That sneaky devil." Well, in reality, I know some of the levels were a pain and everything, but Sly 3, I would definitely give it, like, honestly, a 9 out of 10. Because even though the villains were out of place, and there was no exact thing besides Dr. M's little motive, I like how they brought that up. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna give that a 9 out of 10 because the disguises, you're so used to hiding and everything, and you don't have to hide in this game, really. You can use disguises and key passwords. So that kind of takes 1 point off for losing the stealth of the game, of the franchise. But anyway, guys, that's been my review of Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. Join me next time for Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. As always, remember to comment, rate, subscribe to become a Keyblade Builder, as well as a member of the Cooper Gang and a member of the Bandicoot Nation. And I'll see you next time for Sly 4. Peace out.